What started as a viral leak nearly ended the career of one of Korea's biggest stars. Kim Soo Hyun was suddenly thrown into the center of a digital firestorm after alleged messages between him and Kim, Se-ron, surfaced online. The accusations were explosive. The screenshots seemed convincing. But what happened next shocked everyone. Instead of hiding, Kim took an unprecedented step. He brought in forensic experts from Florence to uncover the truth. What they found turned the story upside down. Stick around as we break down the scandal, the science, and the stunning comeback. Don't forget to subscribe for more. It all started with a leak, just a few screenshots that popped up online without warning. They looked like private messages, supposedly between Kim Soo Hyun, one of Korea's top actors, and Kim Se-ron, a younger actress known for her earlier roles. But these weren't just casual chats. What made them explode was the implication that their connection might have started before she was even of legal age. In minutes, whispers turned into wildfire. Headlines began flooding in. Social media lit up. Everyone had an opinion, and most of them were brutal. Within hours, the K-drama world was shaken. Articles popped up everywhere, repeating the same information without even trying to verify if it was true. Comment sections turned into battlegrounds. Forums blew up. Even fans who had followed Kim for years were unsure what to believe. All it took was a handful of screenshots, grainy, out of context, and unverified, to make the internet turn on someone who had spent years building a careful, clean image. The worst part? The actor didn't even get a chance to speak before people made up their minds. The screenshots were treated like facts. Some said they felt real. Others believed them because they looked real. In a digital world where anything can go viral and be seen by millions in a matter of seconds, that was enough to make Kim the center of a scandal that didn't just put his career on pause. It threatened to ruin it. Everyone expected the usual response. Maybe a Notes app apology. Maybe he'd vanish for a while until things cooled off. That's how these things usually go. But Kim Soo Hyun didn't do any of that. He didn't beg for sympathy. He didn't release a tear-filled video. He didn't even try to downplay what was happening. What he did next caught everyone off guard. Instead of retreating, he went in the opposite direction. He brought in a professional forensic team, real experts trained to analyze digital messages. Not just look at them, but dissect them. He didn't try to win hearts with emotion. He showed up with science, research, and data. No one saw that coming. While the internet was arguing over what the screenshots meant, Kim was already digging deeper, preparing a technical counterattack. He refused to let gossip define his story, and that was the moment the tide slowly started to shift. While many still clung to the belief that the messages were real, others began to pause and ask, what if they weren't? What if everyone had jumped the gun? That doubt, small at first, began to grow. And with it, the first cracks in the viral scandal started to show. While the headlines kept rolling and the internet stayed fired up, Kim Soo Hyun was working behind the scenes on something most celebrities would never even consider. He had called in a team of forensic linguistic experts, not from Seoul, but from Florence. These weren't just local tech guys, these were specialists, the kind of people who break down how someone writes, what kind of words they use, how they space sentences, even how their grammar shifts over time. In other words, they could tell if a message really came from someone, or if it didn't. Their first step was to take the screenshots that had gone viral and look at them not as gossip, but as digital evidence. They checked every detail, timestamps, formatting, the exact Korean used, and how it compared to how Kim had written over the years. And slowly, a pattern started to emerge, one that didn't match up. There were words in the leaked messages that Kim never used, phrases that sounded off, sentence structure that didn't line up with his known communication style. Even fans who had followed him closely began noticing how weird the messages felt once they were looked at more critically. But the real shock came when the team ran a full linguistic comparison between the so-called 2016 messages and verified texts from Kim starting in 2018. The results were clear. They looked like they were written by two completely different people. The experts didn't just say it felt fake. They backed it up with numbers. According to their findings, there was a 95% chance that the leaked messages had not been written by Kim Soo Hyun. That's not a small margin. That's basically saying the entire scandal was built on messages that almost certainly didn't come from him. And he didn't wait to let this information leak slowly. He stepped up. He called a press conference. Calm, collected, and confident, he stood in front of the cameras and told the world what the experts had found. Then he dropped another bombshell. He was filing legal action, not just against the people who created the fake messages, but also those who helped spread them, including media outlets and influencers who had repeated the claims without any kind of verification. He made it clear this wasn't about saving face. It was about truth, honor, and the damage that lies can cause, not just to a public figure, but to anyone. He promised to submit every report, every technical breakdown as official court evidence. And just like that, the public mood began to shift. The story was no longer about a scandal. It was about a man fighting back against something much bigger. A system where rumors go viral before anyone stops to ask if they're real. As the case moved into the courtroom, the tone around Kim Soo Hyun's story changed completely. It wasn't just a tabloid drama anymore. It was starting to feel like a test for the entire country. At the heart of it all was a question that refused to go away. Can screenshots and prints really be trusted as proof? For years, people had treated digital leaks like cold, hard evidence. If it looked real and showed up on your feed, it must be real. But now, with forensic experts tearing the original messages apart, things didn't seem so simple anymore. What stood out was how fast everything had escalated before. A couple of images, a few sentences, no verification, no context. Yet the internet acted like judge and jury. It took someone like Kim, someone with the resources and guts to challenge it, to make people pause. What if this could happen to anyone? What if the next target didn't have access to a forensic team? The case exposed a bigger truth about the digital age. Anyone can fake anything. With advanced AI, it's not even difficult to create realistic-looking messages. Cut and paste a few screenshots, add a timestamp, and you've got what looks like a damning piece of evidence. That's what happened to Kim. And the scariest part? Most people didn't even question it until he forced them to. In court, the debate turned technical. Lawyers argued over how much weight should be given to forensic linguistic analysis. In countries like the US and UK, it's already considered valid in many cases. But in South Korea, it's still relatively new. The judges weren't just deciding Kim's fate. They were setting the tone for how digital evidence might be treated in future trials. Outside the courtroom, the public conversation shifted again. News outlets, once quick to jump on the scandal, started backing off. They became more cautious, more balanced. People on social media began deleting old tweets and posts. Some apologized for rushing to judgment. Others stayed quiet, clearly unsure where they stood anymore. But the real impact was cultural. Kim's case wasn't just about clearing his name. It became a warning, a wake-up call, a reminder that not everything you see online should be trusted. It showed how dangerous it is to believe the first version of any story, especially when that story is built on blurry screenshots and viral outrage. And even though the final court decision hadn't been made yet, one thing was already clear. This wasn't just about one man's reputation. It was about how we all handle truth in a digital world. Kim Soo Hyun might have started out defending himself, but by the end, he had sparked something bigger. A nationwide conversation about technology, trust, and how we choose what to believe. Kim Soo Hyun's case might have started with a scandal, but it ended up exposing a much deeper issue: how easily reputations can be destroyed in the digital age. With forensic proof on his side, Kim didn't just defend himself, he started a national conversation about online truth, justice, and the cost of jumping to conclusions. This isn't just about a celebrity anymore, it's about all of us. So before you believe the next viral leak, remember this case. If you found this story eye-opening, share it with someone who needs to hear it, and hit that subscribe button for more.